Hello, I'm Matt Galloway, and this is the Current Podcast.
It's that time of year again. If you're a parent, you may be counting down the days the kids are going back to school. In many provinces, the first day of class is in exactly a week from now, but in Quebec, most elementary and secondary students head back in just 2 days. And Education Minister Bernard Dranville says the province is still missing thousands of teachers.
It is certainly not normal to begin a new school year sitting in the classroom and not having a teacher because the process of hiring has not been finalized. This is not normal.
Quebec is far from alone in this shortage, though. It's a nationwide problem that's left parents, students, and teachers wondering when will things finally go back to normal. I'm joined by 3 teachers from across the country to discuss their hopes and fears in the upcoming school year. Isabelle Alry is a teacher of French as a second language in Montreal's Lester B. Pearson School Board. Gurpreet Kaur Bains is a learning support teacher at a high school in Surrey, BC. And Matthew Cote is a supply teacher in the York Region District School Board in Uxbridge, Ontario. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi there. Isabelle, when Quebec's education minister, as we heard, says it's not normal, what is it like for you to be starting the school without all the teachers needed?
Well, I've been teaching since 1998, and it's a reality that I've witnessed almost since the start of my career. So for it to be in the public eye, I think is important to understand because it has been an ongoing problem, especially in my field in French second language. There is a great shortage of French second language teachers. And every year it's the same song and dance. We're looking for more teachers. We're looking for more teachers. So it is stressful. It's disturbing.
Is this something that gets resolved in the beginning of the year, sort of a little late, but eventually, or does it last throughout the school year?
In some cases, it does resolve itself by the first or second week of the school year. So let's say the second week of September. But in some cases, it can go on until pretty much the end of the year.
Gurpreet, how serious is the shortage where you're teaching?
Well, it's a serious issue, and I agree it's an ongoing issue. I mean, I've been in education for about 20 years as well, and I have seen decades of underfunding, especially in BC. And we are now looking at some of the results of that underfunding, and at our school especially, we're always short teachers.
And how does that affect you?
Well, because it depends what the day looks like, and you may go in with a plan that this is what your job is today, but you get pulled out and asked to cover somebody else's classroom, and not being able to prepare what you had planned for the day, and you are doing something else that you're maybe not familiar with. For example, I'm a learning support teacher and a language teacher as well, and I may be covering a colleague's math classroom or a PE classroom or a metal shop workshop, right? So yeah, it is very stressful.
Wow, pretty disruptive. Matthew, you're a supply teacher. What does it look like when you walk into a school that's desperate for someone like you to fill in?
Honestly, it's almost the opposite. I feel like a superhero. People are elated and excited to have you just to walk in the door. And to me, that speaks to the shortage, right? When people are just excited that you show up, you know that they're exhausted and they're tired and they need somebody to tag in, and you get to be that person there for that day. So I see it and I see the tiredness of educators, but from my lens, people are excited that you're there.
Isabelle, you talked about, having to be a jack of all trades, so to speak. What does it mean for the students when someone who isn't a trained French teacher is expected to teach that class?
It depends on each class. There are some students who will be very understanding and sympathetic, and they will understand the situation. And especially if the supply teacher or the substitute teacher, as we call them here, is very upfront about the reality and will collaborate with the students will understand, oh, okay, that teacher's in the same boat as we are. But in other cases, it will be chaos. It will be chaos, and the lack of structure and the lack of expertise will be very apparent, and the students will suffer.
What does chaos look like?
Yeah. Once again, depends on the student, depends on the classroom. Maybe in the younger levels, there'll be more disruptions because students thrive on structure and organization. They love routine, so they will not follow that routine. In the older levels, the older students, it will be more along the lines of apathy, indifference, a disconnect. They won't want to learn.
Gurpreet, you have special work with special needs students and newcomers. What impact do you see on the students when there aren't enough teachers in a particular school?
Well, as earlier said, consistency is very important. And for you to build relationships, like we know educators, as educators, we need to build relationships with our students. And if you are going to have, not your regular teacher in classroom or somebody just filling in because, a teacher is sick at home and they didn't get a teacher on call or somebody else is coming in, that structure and that lack of consistency you can see that in the student attachments, in their behaviors, and that bond is not built, and you can see that, and that is so key to teaching. Any academic subjects we want to teach is the social emotional building. And that is really disrupted. And I can see that. And we saw that after the pandemic as well, right? When students just got disconnected, and we're still struggling to get them back.
Matthew, what kind of challenges are you seeing for students who don't have what Gurpreet just talked about, the stability of steady teaching in the class?
You see students consistently testing boundaries, and you see gaps in learning that are still prevalent through COVID because there are gaps in their teaching consistency. And so, at least from my lens, it kind of comes back to that subject specialty, having to be a jack of all trades. You do your best to help each class that you're with or that you're supplying for to the next step and along the journey of their learning. But it's hard because some students are still building those routines and structures and norms when it comes to being in school or in their subject area of learning.
Still since the pandemic.
Yeah, still since the pandemic. So we've moved far. Like, I think it's important to recognize the strides we've made, but there's still learning to do.
Isabel, what about the morale amongst teachers?
It's hard on them. It's hard on them because they know that, let's take, for instance, a math department. If they know that they're short a couple of math teachers, there will be students who will suffer in the long run. So for them, it creates more pressure and more stress on them because they know, oh my God, these students will have to catch up when they get into grade 8 or grade 9 or grade 10 or grade 11. So it's very hard on them. And also just to create the bond amongst colleagues, knowing that they will not have a complete team to ensure the proper scaffolding of learning. When you're short a teacher in a level, there's teaching and learning that is not done. So it's tough on them.
Have you ever experienced, frustration or resentment even amongst you, the teaching group in your school that, this is something they can't solve and it's not fair to be shuttled amongst different classes, different subjects?
Resentment amongst the teachers, no. We rarely have resentment amongst the teachers, but we have frustrations and resentment towards the system that created this problem, because it's a very complex situation. It's not just one cause. So we're frustrated towards those things and not amongst ourselves. In fact, I think we're more supportive amongst each other to try and make sure we survive and we get through the year.
Gurpreet, how much extra strain is there on the teachers who are working when there's a shortage?
Well, as a learning support teacher, what happens is whenever there's a shortage of staff in the school, the learning support teachers get pulled out because they're non-enrolling and they're redirected to go somewhere else. And what that means is that your most vulnerable learners, students with high, needs and who need one-on-one attention, are not getting it. And those students have IEPs, their individual education plans, and and it very clearly says that that student needs those things to be successful in school. So I feel like those kids, fall down the cracks because they don't get that support, and over time, it just adds up, and those learning gaps grow and grow, and these students feel frustrated. Then those aggressive behaviors show up, and their educational needs are not met. And so, this is very stressful, not only on the students, the families, and all, as teachers as well, because many teachers will probably go under this guilt trip that, hey, I'm here, I'm showing up, but I'm not doing my job right, which is not you, but it's it's the system that's been set up that way.
You just mentioned the students' reaction. Do you get a sense they know that there's such a shortage?
I think they know. I teach in a high school, and they're aware. Their parents do talk about it, but there's also frustration, right? There's also frustration about the system. As I said, we've been in the teaching profession for 20 years, and the severe lack of funding and teacher shortages. There's lots of reasons, and I don't know. There's a quote saying that it's not teacher shortages, but actually working conditions and lack of funding that has really driven this, our profession into this little hamster wheel right now, right? We're doing a lot more with a lot less, especially in Surrey. A lot of computer facilitator blocks, transition blocks have been taken away now. Those teachers are being brought back into classrooms. What that means now is that teachers don't have that support anymore. And ministries are, pushing down technology, let's use this, in a world of AI. And now we have no computer facilitators helping out teachers with technology. You're on your own, figure it out. We need the resources. We need the infrastructures to do our job. And we don't have that. And it's happening in Surrey a lot. And the districts are being forced to do this. It's not that it's an ideal situation that is supported by all. It's like the least, the district sent surveys last year, actually not too long ago, and asked for feedback. Yeah. And what are you going to do, right? You're trying to survive. And now this is an option. In Surrey, we have extended days. 5 schools are going on extended days. That means students will be starting at different times just because of the teacher shortages.
Wow.
And a lot of enrollment.
So it's a complicated solution for sure. I want to hear from each of you. What is the way to get more teachers and make sure they stay? Matthew, start with you.
I think for me, it's about facilitating respect between all parties involved, having respect from the government about the work that educators are doing, and respect from the public about the work, and then respect teachers and students working respectfully together, because I think there's always points of friction there. And I could say that funding would solve problems, but I think the issues are deeper rooted than that. And we need to think about maybe restructuring or rethinking how we approach this and how we approach what we are asking of our teachers.
Let me just ask you more about that. How does respect translate to more teachers and encouraging them to stay longer?
I think that teachers feel that there is a lot on their plates and a lot that they have to manage. And to me, respect means looking at what responsibilities we're asking from them, what resources we're providing them to meet those responsibilities, and making sure we're really setting them up for success in the best way possible. And then from the communities, it's recognizing that education is a pillar of our society, that we all need to learn, and that learning is an ongoing journey. And so we're trying to support our citizens, our students, with the best tools they need to learn. And we can't do that unless we invest and work together.
Isabel, what's your read? How to get more teachers into the system and keep them there?
I would like to echo what Matthew just said. It's Matthew, right? Yes. Respect. There has to be a better understanding of our role and our jobs. It's such a complex job. I mean, back when I was a kid, you would have that image of the teacher just teaching French. I'm going to take my subject. But nowadays, that reality is much different. We're a mentor, we're a coach, we're an advisor, we troubleshoot, we're conflict managers. We have become, as you said earlier, a jack of all trades. And I think there's still a lot of people who don't understand that. And I think also the future teachers, or those who envision, should I go into teaching? I think they're afraid of that workload because they know that right now it's not being respected, it's not being valued. So if we want to have more students in universities going to teaching college, getting a teaching degree, we need to have a better image, a better understanding, a better respect of the job. That yes, it is a lot of work. Yes, it's multifaceted, but it is so rewarding because of the bonds that you develop with the students.
Yeah, great teachers are the everybody's mind. Teachers, parents, students, we remember them all. Gurpreet, this has been going on for years, as you all have discussed. Why do you think it hasn't been solved?
Again, it goes back to the respect, right? Public education, we need to protect and defend public education in Canada. I mean, we have it. And, we haven't, we are in a crisis situation, but we still have it, right? We have not seen a big flight to privatization of education yet. It is happening, but not at a rate as compared to some other countries. So I think respect, as my co-panelists already said, it is very important that we walk the talk, right? We will hear a lot of promises election times, we will fund education, we'll put this in education. We've already taken so much away from education, right? We have created a lack of respect for educators because every time when a teacher speaks up for the working conditions or, because let's not forget again, working conditions of teachers are the learning conditions of our students. And if we don't improve them, it's not a greedy teacher asking for more money or it's not a teacher asking for more prep time. It's because it's needed. And for you to have a good public education system, we need to have individuals who feel respected, who are compensated well, and who are also given the resources to do their job. And I think we need to keep advocating for that. I have had many, student teachers that I've trained, worked with and mentored. Sadly, some of them have left the profession, and retention is a huge issue. We can train as many teachers as we want, but when we throw them into the river and say, go do your job, and mental health is a cost that you have to pay for it, I think it's a very easy decision for many teachers to just leave. And I often get asked this question, why are you in this profession still if that's what you feel? Because we are educators, we're all passionate about what we do. We love our jobs. I am excited to go back to school. I am excited, in a week that I'll be heading back to a classroom, that I will be meeting my new students. But at the same time, there's also that stress and frustration that I know is going to come when I won't have the resources I need or don't have the support because the system is not robust. It's not sustainable.
Right.
And it's just running on the kind-heartedness of the teachers.
Isabel and Matthew, very briefly, Gurpreet talked about going back to school. In a couple of words, how do you feel about stepping back into the classroom, Isabel?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm starting in a new school this year. I asked for a transfer to a different school, and I'm excited to meet new, fresh faces.
And Matthew?
I'm very excited. I think most teachers will say and echo the same thing. We love our jobs, and we're really excited to be back in the classrooms.
Well, we're excited to have you and good luck this year. And thank you very much for speaking with us this morning. Gurpreet Corbains is a learning support teacher at a high school in Surrey, BC. Isabelle Allery is a French as a second language teacher in the Lester B. Pearson School Board in Montreal. And Matthew Cote is a supply teacher in Ontario for the York Region District School Board.